The Pittsburgh Steelers have some massive updates as former quarterback Ben Roethlisberger drops his take on the George Pickens situation, as well as TJ Watt has said he's open to move around on defense and says some comments about his future in Pittsburgh. My name is Peyton Kleppy. This is Steelers Digest. Just real quick, if you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, just click that subscribe button down below. Only 9% of our viewers are actually subscribed. So if you really just click that subscribe button, you can get Steelers news every day regarding head coach news, trade rumors, free agents, draft news, all that kind of stuff. So just click that subscribe button down below and let's get right into the news. We got a lot to talk about, some Watt news and some news about Pickens. Let's get right into it. So first of all, on Big Ben's podcast, he talked about George Pickens and the situation currently in Pittsburgh and how the Steelers can fix it. Big Ben said you either sign him to a long-term deal and give him a bunch of money, or you let him play this year, you franchise tag him, and then he's gone. So, I'd be open to do both of them. The Steelers in the past have shown that they're great at drafting receivers. We've drafted guys one after another, whether it was Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, Chase, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson. We churn these guys out year after year. So Calvin Austin, he's another guy. I expect him to have a bigger year next year and an increased role as he goes into his final year of his rookie contract. But anyways, with Pickens has had a lot of controversial news about him come out recently. There's some reports that came out that he was an hour and a half, he came in an hour and a half before the Christmas game against the Chiefs, which he was late because Tomlin usually likes his players in at least, I forget what it was, 2 to 3 hours before the game. And Pickens was late, and these reports didn't come out until a few days ago. So I'd really like to see what Steelers do with this situation. I'd like to keep Pickens around if he could clean up his act and check his ego. But if he's just going to keep acting like a kid and just not stay level-headed, then just get him out of Pittsburgh. We've seen in the past, too, that the Steelers have been open to trading receivers. They traded Santonio Holmes to the Jets. They they didn't trade away Emmanuel Sanders, but they let him walk. They traded away AB. They trade away Le'Veon. So guys like Pickens, where they let their ego get to their head, we really don't want those guys on our team. We don't want any divas in this locker room. I think we got a lot of work already to do. So if Pickens next year can just keep his mouth shut and cut out that the diva crap, then I'd love to keep him on this team. But if not, just let him go or trade him to some bottom feeder of the league. But I don't know. Big Ben also said that there would be a massive problem with this, though, if we trade away for him, because we already have receiver issues, and we really don't have a solid number 2 receiver at the moment. Calvin Austin's great, but he's more of a slot receiver. He's more of a shorter guy. We really don't have another solid second receiver. Mike Williams played okay. He had a few great catches, but I really don't see him coming back next year unless he stays for a veteran minimum. He's 30, 31 at this point. So I think the Steelers can either draft a guy in the first or second round at receiver or look to trade for Garrett Wilson. That's been a guy who's been very unhappy in his situation and his voice that he wants to get traded. So I would definitely monitor the situation moving forward. But that was Big Ben's take on the George Pickens situation. So some news about TJ Watt and his future in Pittsburgh, as well as his role on defense. TJ Watt said that he's going to be more open to moving around on the defense as much as possible, just so he can affect the game more. But he doesn't want to take anybody else's spot. So I think this is a great comment that he made, because he's saying he's open to move around, but he doesn't want to take somebody else's role if they don't want to move, which I think is a smart thing to say, because he's a great player. You can move him around, but he doesn't want to be an egotistical player. So I'd love to see how the Steelers do this next year. We saw some looks this year where they moved TJ to the other side, or they did some different stunts. A notable occurrence of this was the last game of the season where he lined up on the outside of the tackle and he sprinted up the field. It drew the tackle out and it opened up the blocks so Keanu Benton could get a sack on Joe Burrow. We did lose that game, but our defense did play well. So I really like to see how the Steelers move around next year. He kind of had a pedestrian year this year with only 11.5 sacks. But, that's where you put yourself in. That's the position you put yourself in when you average 19 sacks a season. So I mean, I bet 31 other teams would love to have a guy like TJ. I would love him too. But he's got to have some more dominance on the field. We pay him a ton of money, and 11 and a half sacks is not worth $100 million a year. I'm sorry, TJ, but we're going to need some more out of you. So I'm glad that he's open to move around because we have a ton of talent on defense. I think with the right calls and maybe switching up the defensive coordinator, we could really have some defensive success again. We kind of had a midseason collapse on defense, some miscommunication. But I'm excited to see how we do next year. We had a lot of rookies like Beanie Bishop and Peyton Wilson. So I'm excited to see in their second year how they play. But like I said, we got a ton of dogs on defense. We got guys like Alex Highsmith, who plays the right outside linebacker. And we got TJ, we got Herbig, who plays in the relief of either guy. I'd like to see next year if TJ kind of moves and Highsmith, they switch him here and there because TJ usually plays on the left and Highsmith usually plays on the right. But it would be cool to see if we could switch them around and see if they have some different moves on the other sides that they couldn't do before because they're limited to that position. And like I said, Nick Herbig, guy's a dog. He had 5.5 sacks this year. I believe like 4 or 5 forced fumbles. So if we could get all 3 of those guys on the field, the three-headed monster, that would be great. I don't know if we had any looks this year where we had all 3 on the field, but in combination with our great inside linebackers and our defensive line, I think we'd wreak some havoc on some NFL offenses. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm super excited for next year because we got a lot of guys coming back under contract on our defense that could really affect us and really affect this team moving forward. Guys like Beanie Bishop at cornerback, guys like Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott, that they really I think just had a confidence issue later on in the year, and I think they could really get back to playing Steelers football next year. Especially if the Steelers, they get a new defensive coordinator. Guys like Robert Saleh are still on the market. And Terrell Austin really has not shown much defensive creativity. So when TJ made comments like this, yeah, it's great as Steelers fans to hear it. But we'll have to wait and see what Terrell Austin actually does. He really doesn't switch around his defense. It's usually the same old 3-4 kind of stuff that the Steelers have done since the 90s. So I'd like to see some more defensive creativity, move some guys around, let some guys play a little freer, and just get back to playing some Steelers football. That 5-game collapse was something that none of us wanted to see, but we'll see what happens next year. We'll see what this offseason holds. I expect some big news coming out soon, especially about the quarterback position and especially in this draft moving forward. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. Thanks again. Here we go, Steelers. Peace out, boys.